So, I've been thinking about something recently, and before anybody gets worried, this is not me making a claim at all. It's more me asking a question and gathering other people's thoughts, and I guess asking if anybody else is curious about this too, because I think that is how, science moves forward. So, autism is considered a highly genetic neurodevelopmental condition. The evidence for that is really strong. And we also know something else. Trauma doesn't just change your thoughts like we once thought it did. It physically changes the brain, and it can be reversed, but many people unfortunately don't actually tend to do that, and then that can be passed down genetically and it can be turned on epigenetically. So if trauma isn't healed, especially when it is prolonged and repeated, it can physically change the structure and the functions of the brain. And researchers found changes in the stress response system, changes in how different brain regions communicate with one another, changes in white matter, which is basically your brain's communication network, changes in areas that involve emotions and memories, attention and sensory processing, and some regions even become thicker and thinner depending on how they've adapted. And when I start thinking about this, many of those same systems are also areas where researchers consistently find differences in both autism and ADHD actually. And no, I'm not saying that they're identical differences, they're not, but we're talking about some of the same networks. The amygdala, the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, the salient network, the default mode network, the connections between them. So my curiosity is thinking, if trauma can physically alter developing brains and autism is present from birth, what role, if any, do things like genetics, prenatal development, epigenetics, and intergenerational trauma all play together? And is there much research looking at it? I'm absolutely not suggesting that trauma causes autism, mainly because the evidence currently doesn't support that. But I'm questioning whether we have enough evidence to completely separate the two entirely. And we know that many people end up experiencing both. And we know that they affect some of the same brain networks and produce some overlapping experiences. And we still have a lot to learn about how those biological mechanisms interact, because biology is rarely simple. Brains aren't built by kind of one influence alone. They're shaped by genes interacting with environments from the very beginning of life. And there's just so many questions that come from it, like, could trauma change how autism presents? Could it influence support needs? And I don't imagine that those things correlate in a universal way at all, because we know how unique each autistic person's experience is. Could there be developmental pathways that we haven't discovered yet? I don't know. And I don't truly think that anybody honestly has the answer to all of those questions fully yet, including me. But I do think that they're worth asking. Science doesn't tend to progress because we protect old ideas. It progresses because we're willing to respectfully question what we don't fully understand or know or have all the answers to yet. What are your thoughts?